Good afternoon, guys. It's Workin, bringing you a very quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar. This is the 4-hour chart on Coinbase. And last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin was right up here, consolidating right up above this 3,800 support. Price did end up breaking down, hit into this zone here, guys, fell back into the 3,800 support, fell back down to roughly about 3,700 where it bounced. And of course, it hit this uptick, and now we're sitting just above this 3,800 area, which is acting as support again. So, guys, the question is whether or not this thing is going to continue up. Right now, we are seeing a lot of structure in the market. We are seeing this ascending support line that seems to be holding fairly well, at least for now. Let's wait and see how this ends up playing out. If we do break that line, it's going to certainly get my attention. And certainly to the upside, we also have this kind of descending resistance line that's also playing out fairly well. So, a break above this resistance or below this support will definitely get my attention. That's not going to be the end-all be-all, but it will certainly get my attention and something that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. We're also seeing structure, as I showed you guys yesterday. If I go swing low, swing high, we can see that we had almost a perfect hit. Actually, let me get this right on here, guys, so I don't cheat y'all. And let me get it right on down here. There we go. We can see we had this perfect hit right off the 618 fib, and then price just took off right above that 3,800 support. And of course, then it came back down, as it always does, for the retest. And if we zoom into this microstructure, where did we get that retest? In other words, how far did price retrace? Again, we go swing low, swing high on this little microstructure here, and what do we have? We see that price perfectly hit right again, right at that 618 fib level. Now, we had a little wick below, but the body hit perfectly right at that 618 fib, and then, of course, we had this nice little bounce. Now, we didn't have an impulsive bounce up. In other words, this is really kind of an epic battle between the bulls and the bears. The bulls are trying hard to break up above at least this zone here and take out this high of this structure right here, and the bears are fighting hard. We can see with these wicks to keep it pushed back down, guys, and it seems to be consolidating, getting squeezed tighter and tighter here. So I think we should find out relatively soon who's going to win, at least here in the short term. But that being said, guys, if you're as a trader, as I told you yesterday, I would kind of be hands off, just kind of watching and waiting for a new trend. If price does break below 3,600, I think if decisively, not by a wick like we had here, or even a little bit of a body, but I mean, if we have a decisive break, in other words, a 4-hour candle opening and closing well below this 3,600 support, that I think price at that point will relatively quickly fall down into this zone here between 3,400 and 3,250. And I would be looking, if I was looking to enter a scalp and or day trade, I would be looking to buy somewhere into this zone here and target somewhere into this zone here. So I'd be looking to buy anywhere between 3,400 and 3,250, targeting anywhere between 3,600 and 3,800 if you're a scalp and or day trader. And vice versa, if price ends up climbing up here, guys, I would be looking to short somewhere in this zone here. We have a decent supply zone up here. I'd be looking to enter a short between 4,400 and 4,315, especially if volume remains low. If we have price come up above here, guys, and enter into this zone with low volume, I'd be looking to short all day long, especially if short positions start to get liquidated. Excuse me, guys. And of course, down here, I'd be looking again to enter into a day and or scalp trade. Now, if we do have price come up here and shorts start to climb, or if volume starts to climb as well relatively quickly, at that point I don't know that I would enter a short. Remember, you want to take you don't want to look at any one piece of information. You want to look at all the information and then kind of like a puzzle, put the pieces together and decide what makes the most sense. As of right now, looking at volume, I'm going to refresh it so I have the most current volume here. Yeah, we're sitting at 4.9 billion on the day. That's very, very weak and very ripe for manipulation. If we come over here and we're looking at the 4-hour chart, we're looking at shorts. Shorts have started to stack here over the last day. Now, it's nothing too significant, but it's nonetheless, shorts are stacking. That being said, if we come over and look at longs, longs also are stacking over the last day or two. So again, guys, it's kind of shorts are outpacing longs for sure, but it's kind of tough to see, which direction market makers are going to take this, because either way they go, they're going to liquidate one or the other. So really, it's kind of looking at longs versus shorts at this point, guys, is not very helpful in my opinion. It's just kind of, but that is something that you want to monitor in case we do get a massive split. Now, looking at the daily chart here and looking at our moving average and exponential moving averages, I always tell you to keep an eye on this 21-day EMA. and price broke above here, and that was a pretty good indication. When it broke above here, it got all the way up here. I told you that was a good indication of a momentum shift, and sure enough, it did temporarily for about 6 days, almost a week. Momentum shifted very nicely. It rose all the way, all the way from a low here of 3,100 or 3,190 all the way to a high here of about 4,230. So again, not a bad indication as we were talking about. But then we had price break back down, but we never had a daily candle decisively break below this 21-day EMA. We had a body close, but decisively means we have a candle opening and closing, not just opening, not just closing, but opening and closing below this. And we didn't have that. We had a candle closing here, we had a candle opening here, but we didn't have any one candle opening and closing below the 21-day EMA. So really, technically, we still have not broken above that. And let's wait and see what happens. As of right now, we're just above it right now, but it's just hovering right at that 21-day EMA, guys, which makes me think as we consolidate here, looks like price is getting squeezed. We should have a winner here. In other words, who's going to win, the bulls or the bears? We should have a winner here very, very soon, in my opinion. Excuse me, guys. Sorry, guys, I had to pause the video there. Get you a quick drink of water. Throat is getting dry, man. I don't know what's going on with allergies or what. But anyway, so what I'd like to see, guys, what I'm watching, I'd like to see this daily candle close back above this 21-day EMA, this yellow line here, 21-day EMA, in my opinion. That would be a, at least a good sign of strength that the bulls are still fighting hard. If we get a decisive break back below this 21-day EMA, obviously, guys, by decisive, I mean a daily candle opening and closing below this zone. Not just opening, not just closing, but again, opening and closing below this 21-day EMA. That's going to be a sign of a momentum shift back in favor of the bears. And at that point, look out below. But we're not there yet, guys. In fact, right now, we're sitting above this 21-day EMA. So let's see if it closes up there. I'm going to be watching that. And I'm also going to be watching to see if we can close above 3,800 and to see if that 3,800 starts acting as support or starts acting as resistance again. Right now, we're just literally sitting, we're a little above it right now, but really just kind of hovering back and forth. And I really want to see a decisive break above. It's kind of sitting right on top, really acting as kind of support right now, but wicking below it quite a bit. So I'd like to get some distance between this 3,800 support and price. I'd like to see price at least come back up into here, possibly create a new high. And at least if we can get back into this zone, 4,120 to 4,000, and break above that 4,000, which is a good psychological support, I think that would be a good bullish sign, guys. Again, yes, I'd be looking at possibly just a temporary rise here without the volume. Unfortunately, as I said, I may even start considering a short up in this area. And we all know that if we do get that temporary rise, that could spark a bull run at any point in time if people start thinking the bottom is in. And again, if I look at this from Elliott, and I don't like Elliott wave, as you guys know, if you've listened to me for any amount of time, I don't like Elliott wave in low volume markets. That being said, with that structure that we're seeing, with that perfect hit off the 618 fib here, off this microstructure, that perfect hit off the 618 fib there, I think that we may be looking at something along the lines of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of a shortened fifth here. And then, the question is, are we looking at an A, B, and C, something that's going to come down much, much lower, but we did have that perfect hit off that 618 fib, and we know that overall this would be considered a primary wave 1. Remember primary wave 1, that would have 5 subwaves in it. These would be 5 subwaves, and then we'd be coming down for the 2. And we know that the majority of wave two, of second waves, the majority of wave 2s hit somewhere between the 50 and the 618 fib level. So that would jive perfectly with what we're seeing here. So we could be looking at something more along the lines of this, something like an A, B, down for the C, hitting right at that 618 fib, and now we're starting, a new, a new wave 1, 2, subwave 1, 2, up for the 3, 4, and 5, something like. And again, I'm just eyeballing it. This is very, very sloppy. I'm not drawing anything out, guys. This is just to give you a rough idea. Again, I do not like Elliott wave in low volume markets, so just take this with a grain of salt. But we are seeing some structure in the market, so I just wanted to kind of point that out. So we do have two possible, even looking at Elliott, we do have 2 possible scenarios where price continues up or even comes back down, possibly coming back down, creating even a flat somewhere in this area, or creating a newer low. We'll have to wait and see kind of how that ends up playing out, which is why I said, guys, I would just be sitting on the sideline and waiting for a trade setup. I would not be forcing a trade at this point unless you're planning on holding for a year or more. And as I've always said, if you're planning on holding for a year or more and you want a dollar cost average in at these prices, not a bad idea. Even if we go lower, I think this time next year we're going to be sitting at all-time highs. So I really don't think you could lose if you're planning on holding for a year or more, like I said. But if you're a day end or swing trader, guys, or if you're just uncomfortable with this, just wait until we have a new trend and then go ahead and enter at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Workin, signing out.